Okay, we're going to perform our in-cab inspection and our air brakes test in a commercial combination vehicle. You want to make sure your key is in your hand. First off, before you do anything, you put your seatbelt on. You want to take your seatbelt. You want to make sure there's no frays or damages, no abrasion, bumps or cuts or dry rotting to your seatbelt. You want to make sure it locks. You want to unlock it to make sure it unlocks for your safety. And you want to lock it back to make sure it's nice and tight, okay? Now you want to take your key, stick the ignition. What we're going to do now, we're going to do a safe start on our vehicle. We're going to clutch, we're going to hold the brake, and we're going to start our vehicle. We're going to make sure our vehicle's in neutral. We're going to release the clutch first, then release the brake just in case it jumps, okay? Now, the first thing we're going to do, we want to look on our floor. We want to make sure there's no obstacles on the floor that rolls up on our pedals to keep us from operating the vehicle safely. All right, we want to check our boot for any abrasions, bumps, or cuts or dry rotted. We don't want no fumes to come up inside the cab doing while we're driving or even while we sleep. We want to make sure it's nice and tight. Make sure our splitter works. Make sure our high and low side, you hear the clicking sound, make sure everything is working. All right, then we're going to go ahead and check our mirrors. We're going to check the view. We're looking at our mirrors on the passenger side and the driver's side. We're going to look at our mirrors on our fender mirrors, which are also called convex mirrors. We're going to make sure they're not cracked or damaged in any way. We're going to adjust the mirrors to our view of driving. Okay, and how you adjust it is right here on your left hand side. We're going to adjust it. Okay, we want to check. Also, we want to make sure our windows let up and down for safety reasons. Okay, we're going to make sure the rubber seals around the windows. We're going to make sure no abrasions, bumps, or cuts or dry rotting. Make sure they're nice and tight and sealed. We're going to check the weather stripping on our left and our right side windshield, down the middle, on the side, all the way across. Make sure there's no abrasion, bumps, or cut or dry rotting. Make sure they're not leaking it or signs of any leakage or anyway. We want to make sure our window is clear. Make sure the windshield is not cracked or damaged. Make sure it's clean. Make sure that nothing is obstructing your view. We want to make sure there's no illegal stickers on the windshield, like an out-of-date registration, out-of-date inspection. We want to go ahead and get those off, okay? Now we're going to go ahead and make sure our windshield wipers are properly mounted, secured, flush to the windshield. We want to look at our rubber seal, rubber garments on the windshield wipers. Make sure it's not broken or damaged, no abrasion, bumps, or cuts, or dry rotting. Okay, how you check these? We're going to take this handle, we're going to press it in. We're going to check for the windshield wiper fluid, and we're going to also make sure the windshield wipers work. So you can press this in, and as you see the fluid on the windshield coming out, now we see that's working properly. Okay, I just turned the steering wheel. We want to make sure we don't have no more than 2 inches of play in our steering wheel. As you see, it's nice and tight. We don't have no play at all. We're going to check our city horn and our air horn, which is also called the highway horn. We're going to make sure our parking brake and our trailer brakes, make sure they're nice and tight. We're going to check our defroster. This is our defroster. Make sure it goes into defroster mode. In the wintertime, you're going to need that to defrost your windshield. We also want to make sure our heater works at the bottom. All right, cut that out. Okay, now we're going to make sure our indicators on our gauges work. Right now, we're going to check our left turn signal. That's our left turn signal. Now we're going to check our right turn signal. Okay, now we're going to check our four-ways flashes. Okay, now we're going to check our high beams. This is our high beams right here. We're checking our high beam indicator. It is on. It's working properly. Okay. We're also going to check our oil. This is our oil pressure. It's at its proper level. We're going to check our water temperature. All right. This is our RPMs, revs per minute. Check that by tapping the gas. This is our speedometer. We will check that when we do our surface brake test at 5 miles per hour. We also have our primary and secondary air tanks. They're working properly. You can press the gas to see if the needles move. They do move, so it's working properly. We have enough fuel in the system to do our air brakes test and our driver's test for today. All right, this is our volts right here. This is our volts in the middle. Right now it's at 14.1. So our volt meter is working properly. Okay, now we're gonna go to our emergency equipment. Our emergency equipment, this is our fuse box. Open the fuse box for me. Our fuse is right behind this glove box. You're gonna have to take these screws off. Right here, you got one right here, one right here. You have 4 of them. Your fuse panel's back behind there. Check your fuse panel, make sure all your fuses are nice and tight. We have our spare fuses at the top. Right here, we have spare fuses. We have our fire extinguisher to the left of us on the side. We want to make sure our fire extinguisher, right here, ABC fire extinguisher, properly mounted, secured to the vehicle, fully charged. That's the only way you can have it, fully charged or empty. Make sure it's fully charged. Okay, we have about 3 emergency triangles in the back. It's properly mounted, secured in the back of the vehicle. Okay, so now we're done with our in-cab inspection. We're going to go ahead and proceed with our air brakes test in our commercial combination vehicle. So what we're going to do, when you do not have a chock, you're going to go ahead and clutch. Don't mash the brakes because we need air pressure to do our air brakes test. So you're going to clutch, put it in first gear, and you're going to cut the vehicle off. Now you're going to cut the vehicle back onto the auxiliary or the ACC. Make sure the needles go around. That's how you know that you're in the auxiliary mode. Now you can release the clutch. This is a static brake test. With the brakes released, I should not lose no more than 3 PSI. What we're doing here, we're going to check out primary and secondary air tanks. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to release the brakes. Once the air settles, we start counting 60 seconds. After you count your 60 seconds, you want to do your brake applied test on your service brakes. So we're going to apply pressure to our brakes, and we should not lose no more than 4 PSI in 1 minute. So all you do is apply pressure to the brakes. All right, after 60 seconds go, now we're gonna do our pump down. And at 60 PSI, our warning light and our buzzer should announce. There you go, that's our warning light and you hear the buzzer. We're gonna continue our pump down, and at 40 PSI, between 40 and 20 PSI, our warning light, between 40 and 20 PSI, our trailer air brake and our parking brake should pop out. All right, they both popped out. Now what we're gonna do, we're gonna do a safe start. To start the vehicle, we need at least 100 PSI or better to do our tug test. You're gonna clutch first, mash on the brake, start your vehicle. Put the vehicle back in neutral before you release it. Keep your foot on the brake. You're gonna release the clutch first, then release the brake. Now I'm gonna go ahead and give it acceleration for the RPM so we can go ahead and get the air compressor to roll back, to pump the air tanks, the primary and secondary air tanks back up to at least 100 PSI. Warning light and buzzer just went off because we passed 60 PSI in our primary and secondary air tanks.